And you are on with the Band Buzz. My name is Justin Craig. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Tuesday. It's a beautiful Tuesday night in the feels like summer. It's 90 degrees out there. So happy for the good weather. And things are just when you think things are starting to get back to normal, they're not. This has been a crazy week. The end of the weekend ended with looting and rioting in my town. I live outside of Chicago in Aurora, and it's just been a whirlwind, to say the least. And I had a great weekend last weekend. I played some music myself for the first time in front of an audience, and it was fantastic. And I want to thank Bass Camp and Lyle for having me and them supporting the musical community. They have a great lineup of people for the rest of the month, and some big things planned for the summer. So this show was designed to talk to musicians and people in the music industry, but also I wanted to give the venues a voice. So tonight's show is geared. This is the first episode where I'm going to talk to a great music venue, the Broken Oar in Barrington, and get their take on what's been going on and what their plans are for the future and what they see happening in the music scene that they're a part of. But before we get to that, let me get a little advertising out of the way. This show is brought to you by Legends of Tomorrow Entertainment. You can visit them at legendsoftomorrowent.com or email them at info@legendsoftomorrowent.com. If you have a band, if you have a podcast, if you have something that you're trying to put out there that's media related, they will help you out. They have a great team over there. They represent awesome tribute bands. They put together festivals. They're helping produce things like this. All the cool graphics and things that you see are all from those people over there. So check them out. Also brought to you by Old Wise Clothing Company. My buddy Eric has a stellar deal going on for the Band Buzz folks. If you go to oldwiseclothing.com, use the promo code BANDBUZZ, and you'll get 15% off your entire order. They have cool trucker hats, tank tops for the summer, ringer tees, if that's your thing. That's my thing. Go check them out. Eric Perryman, he's a great designer he actually did design the Band Buzz logo. And he's got a great eye for cool looking clothing. Go check out Old Wise. My girl Andrea, the Healthy Hustle with Andrea is a great place to go if you are seeking out fitness and wellness tips. She represents the great products of Arbonne. She turned me on to all kinds of cool pain cream. I got a pain cream after a long night of volleyball. She's a great volleyball player as well. You can hit her up at AndreaGraves24@gmail.com. Also, my girl Beth has Beth's, I can never say that, Beth's Healthy Living Inside and Out on Facebook. You can also hit her up on Instagram at tranquil.solutions. Don't forget the dot. Well, without any further ado, I want to get to my guest. Bonnie has signed on with the Broken Oar about 11 years ago and has never looked back. She is a staunch supporter of the music community. Live music is a staple of the Broken Oar in Barrington, Illinois. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bonnie Misk. Hi,
Hello.
Bonnie.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Band Buzz. This podcast has been going on for a month and a half now. So this was my little podcast pet project I've had for a long time. But I've always wanted to talk to other musicians that I've met throughout my career. And one thing that a lot of other musicians talked to me about was talking to the venues themselves and people who book the bands. They have a lot to say about what's going on in our scene. And also, I think it's important for musicians and people who want to go play at places to understand what your business goes through, even in tough times like what's going on right now.
Sure.
So the first thing, I obviously, as I've looked at what the Broken Oar has been doing, I moved here back in 2010. And the Broken Oar has constantly come up in a lot of the popular band schedules. So it was certainly a destination for me to stop by just because of that, as being a music lover. And so how has the Broken Oar always been a music venue to you, or did it morph into that at some point?
Well, when I first started, we had live music 11 years ago. They've been doing that for a long time, but it was always weather dependent. We had a small stage with a picket fence behind it. Somebody popped up some old photos recently. We were kind of laughing about them and how we've evolved over the years. So we always had music, but we've expanded the music that we've had. Basically, putting an oar tent over the stage, making sure rain or shine, we have music, which allowed us to expand our calendar for the season. We also do acoustic over the winter with some of the larger bands will do smaller acoustic acts. So we're trying to do it year round, but they've been known for music, but it was more of just a riverside restaurant. So we've become known, and whenever we get called a music venue, it just warms my heart to know that that's what people think about us now when they think about the Broken Oar and the musicians. Some of our national acts that asked to play every year, just it makes me proud.
Yeah, you certainly have a lot to be proud of. It's more or less thought as a summer venue, I guess, because of the boat dock and those kinds of things. So if you don't know, it's right off of the Fox River, and you could pull your boat right up to there and jump out and enjoy a fun night or fun day at the Broken Oar. But I've never really thought about it as much as a winter. How do you guys get by in the winter months?
Well, we have a sky deck, and that is enclosed. We have heaters in there, so we've got a garage door that opens up. So we have just a really mock small stage area for the acoustic performers, and we open up the sky deck so they're inside and out. Our lower level bar gets enclosed. We usually do like an Arctic bar for the Christmas season so that people can move around. It's certainly not the same volume, but it allows us to continue to promote live music and to continue to give a lot of the artists an opportunity to do something a little different. And some of the smaller acts that we can't do in the summer get to play in the winter. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, a lot of us musicians, I'm in that category. We are always kind of looking for some gigs to play in the wintertime when it's slowed down. That's really cool. I've never been there for that. I'll have to definitely come check that out. You'll have to set me up with a VIP table. But so when does things start to really get going? I feel like obviously that's been delayed for you because of COVID, and that usually it seems like a lot of venues in Chicagoland start to try to hit it in late April if the weather's nice, early May if they can. When do you kind of officially, when you book that schedule, when's the kind of target date where you're like, now we're going to have the full blown bands going outside?
Right. Well, nothing's normal anymore. If it were normal, we would be starting with Sunday bands in April, which is a great day. Everybody loves the Sunday fun days at the Broken Oar. And then once we get into May, then we're Friday night, Saturday day, and Sunday day. So that's when we normally go full blown. Obviously, with everything that transpired this year, everything was pretty much on hold. I had my whole band schedule set for release, and I actually released it in April just to give bands and customers and just a glimmer of hope that there was going to be bands back and that we would have some sense of normal at some point in time. So that would be our norm. Normally by the end of April, beginning of May, we have 100 staff added on, up and running, and we hit the ground running. This time it all happened in the matter of 1 week. So yeah, it's been crazy.
During the downtime of COVID, a lot of bar restaurants around where I live have seemed to be actually taking that time to do a lot of improvements to the bar and the restaurants around here. I mean, I was driving by some shithole Mexican places. I'd hate to say that, but like all of a sudden they were spruced up. They look beautiful, and it's like they've taken time to put new signage out and paint and stuff like that. What has the Broken Oar been doing in this sort of downtime? I know you've still been open, maybe serving some food, but
yeah, we've been doing. So we've never had really a large to-go business or delivery. So starting March 17th, we had to retrain all of our customers to call us for food. So we added a delivery vehicle, we reinvented our business again, and that really monopolized a lot of our time. So we've been pushing those orders, just kind of waiting until things subsided where we could open back up. So the minute that it was announced that outdoor dining would resume. There was, I think, a collective cheer all over the state of Illinois. And then the planning started to get those 100 staff members up and running in like 1 week, hired and running up in 1 week. So we didn't do a lot of improvements. We did a lot of cleaning, reorganizing. We have another sister bar down the street that we did close entirely because they don't have a big food opportunity there. So we refinished floors and did an intensive clean and just restructured a lot. But Broken Oar was blessed to have a steady business of the to-go orders and the deliveries while we were down.
What's the name of that place? Mavericks?
That's called Mavericks Gaming Spirits and Crafts. So it's a little Western storefront. I love it. It's got a cool vibe. We've got an outdoor bar with a roll-up glass garage door. We've got a lower level. So it's been there for a long time. Super cool bar. Really draws a good crowd. They start rolling in volume around 9 at night and open at 3 daily. But we didn't have a big food business, so we thought we'd take the opportunity with that one and keep all of the staff there employed at the Broken Oar while we fix that up a little bit.
That sounds like a good concept to like model after Robert's Western World in downtown Nashville. Have you ever been there?
I haven't. I've been to Nashville a lot. Yeah.
You need to make Mavericks into like that, like old timey Western dudes, like play, steel guitars and stuff.
Right, and sell cowboy boots on the wall.
Yes.
Buy one, get one free.
Well, they nailed, that used to be a store, and so they nailed all those cowboy boots down when they bought that place to be the venue. All the boots were on the shelf, so they nailed them down. So it used to be a Western wear store.
Oh, that's cool. Has that happened in the last couple of years? Or is that
no, Robert's Western World has been there for a long time. And
no, I meant as far as a music venue. I was just curious.
Oh, no, Robert's has always been a music
place.
They have that little stage right when you walk in the door, but it's always, silver-haired, upright bass playing. It's my favorite place. Whenever my band has played in Nashville several times, and whenever we're done playing, we just I head right there, and I tell my band, if you want to see me, that's where I'll be at. Like, because you can get a Busch Light and a bologna sandwich for like $2.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, no, it's a fun little niche place. So no, Maverick sounds cool to me. It seems like more like my kind of hangout, actually. Not that Broken Oar isn't, but I'll have to visit that. Is that in Barrington as well?
It's Port Barrington. It's actually got an Island Lake address. It's our sister bar, and it's right around the corner. It's probably 4 minutes around. So it's a good alter ego to the Broken Oar.
Yeah. I'll meet you over there for.
There you go.
So the Broken Oar normally kicks off sitting on your hands until you got the announcement that boom, in a week we're gonna have outdoor seating. Has that started live music then also, or are you just, what's your outlook on when you think that's going to start?
Yeah, that started live music. So we were working with, to see what our options were and what the restrictions were. Fortunately, we're on 7 acres on the Fox River. So all of our tables that we had, we were able to distance them. So we relocated, we distanced all the tables. We made sure that there was a safe distance between them before we even explored it. And then we looked at what bands had scheduled, because I usually do that, the year prior. So we know who's going to be playing all summer long. So we had to take a good hard look at the bands that were coming up. We obviously can't have any of the large bands, the national acts. What we don't want to do is overload the Broken Oar. We want to make it safe so that the people that do come there can be seated while they're listening to bands. So it becomes more of a background music than, a full blown attraction for people to come to. So we're looking at it on a weekend by weekend basis right now, just because we're hopeful and hoping that maybe things will loosen up towards the end of June. But we were worked with our community in our village to make sure that we were, in compliance. And we started with an acoustic act the very first Friday, and we had full bands on Saturday and Sunday. And it worked quite well. Everybody was able to stay distanced, and it wasn't overcrowded. So we're hoping to try and maintain that consistency as we move forward. So
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the venues and music places. I played on Saturday at base camp in Lyle, and they did the same thing. They took a lot of the precautions, they themselves, and as people got sauced and stuff, that started to wither away. People just kind of forget themselves. Did you notice any of that? Like, are people just I was actually in Wisconsin the weekend before that, and people, pardon my French, people didn't give a shit. Like they were just walking around like they're walking around like nothing. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, especially when they're getting out, they're just trying to enjoy themselves and let go, and I think the businesses are doing the best that they can, but I think the people are the ones that are just kind of like, they're bending the rules a little bit, and are you kind of keeping a watchful eye on that stuff, or are you kind of letting people do what they do?
Well, we've got to keep a watchful eye on it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility. We've got signage up. We ask that they all seat. We have maximum table capacities of 6, which is what is supposed to happen. We've blocked off certain bench seating that if it is in direct contact with another table. But I think for the most part, people spread out. We didn't open our boat bar. Our boat bar is another remote bar where it's usually, 2 or 3 deep getting drinks. And we've removed the bar stools there. It's a place for people to go hang out. So if they do have a group of 4 and there's no tables open, they can go stand off by themselves to the side, stand around there. We've got a boardwalk that goes all along our river frontage. That's just solid benches. So a lot of people would grab a drink at the bar and go sit in the benches. So, and then we've got an upper level sky deck, a lower level lounge, a patio, a lawn, and our oar tent. So we've got so many opportunities for people to sit and to spread out that it really wasn't a huge issue. And we're hoping to maintain that volume and that consistency so it doesn't get to the point where we have to ask people to step out in the parking lot and, until we can regroup or tables open up. And if it comes to that, we probably would. The people I saw that weren't distancing were ones that arrived together and they stayed together while they were there and they just stood off to the side.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. A bunch of people, I ended up, playing a tune with like probably 10 people standing behind me playing, Dixieland Delight by Alabama. So, and then the bouncer had to come up and be like, hey, no, guys, you got to like, right. Obviously I'm there to entertain. I'm not there to shuffle folks around. So I let them do what they do. The interesting thing that I think is happening is it seems to be now that it's opened up that the phases seem to kind of be moving along a little bit quicker. Are there, do you know when the next phase for you is, or have they projected that for you at all?
I wish I did know. Everybody's asked at the beginning, they're like, well, how did you know you had to shut down? I said, same way you did on TV. And then when they said, well, how did you know when you were going to be open back up for outdoor dining? I said, same way you did. So really the bulk of the information we get is known when you know it and when it's publicized. So there's really been, I think everybody, the municipalities, everybody has kind of been blindly led. So everybody's doing the best that they can. Our local municipality's been great in getting information to us, forwarding emails. But really, we have no idea.
That seems really weird. I would feel like you would get like official communications somehow, especially if they're, kind of threatening, they've been kind of threatening some legal ramifications and things like that, or pulling your licenses. You think you'd get an official word of like, this is, you have to do X now, and then this is when you can do X moving forward. And so far, it seems like you're not the only person to say. It's been a lot of just like media conjecture. That's how you're getting your information of right. What you can and can't do. That's got to be a crazy way to run a business.
It's insane. I mean, this whole thing's been insane. So, you do the best that you can. You do what you think is right. We're protecting our customers. We're protecting our staff. Whether you believe in what is being asked of you or not, you have the responsibility, because what if you're wrong? You want to make sure that you do the best for everybody. And it's been frustrating at best to try and figure out what we're supposed to do and when. I mean, I know that it was 30-day increments before any changes were made. We were very much hoping that, maybe in a couple of weeks after the last adjustment, that they would adjust again, because the numbers are falling and things, honestly, from a customer standpoint, the ones that really are concerned are staying home. The rest of them are ready to move on.
Yeah.
And they're not concerned.
Yeah, I mean, how did you feel when Wisconsin, the state Supreme Court, overturned that, and boom, that night the bars were open? Yep. That make you feel like, wow, I wish I was in Wisconsin, or I wish my business was there? Do you feel like the state is hurting you? I mean, you don't have to take a full political stance, but I'm interested in your perspective on this, because I think a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, it's we were joking, we're on the lower river. There's 17 miles from lock to dam. So there's always on our river where the upper river and the chain of lakes opens before we do. So I had posted something on a lower river Facebook post, and I said, the Wisconsin bars opening when we have to stay closed feels a lot like the upper river being open while the lower river still closed. So it was a big crunch. We felt it because I knew all my friends, a lot of our customers were up there. However, at the same time, we weren't open here. So, God bless them if they were comfortable with it and felt safe to go out and have a nice dinner somewhere. I was happy that they had the opportunity to it, but we certainly were very aware of it and felt it, but we still had our to-go business and our delivery business going. So you just make the best of it.
Yeah, but I mean, do you feel? I'm sorry, I'm trying to dig a little bit. I feel. Do you feel that the way that state went after that, and the way that this state is sort of lagging behind, even in comparison to a lot of other states, has been detrimental to the business?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. I mean, we should be rolling, by the beginning of May. And, I understand the need for safety. I understand the need for taking precautions, but at the point that every other state's opening up, that just made the wound even deeper, that we had to remain closed while other businesses were open completely. And we're fortunate that we have an 7-acre outdoor beer garden. We're the largest beer garden in McHenry County. There's a lot of restaurants that don't have that. So then you're putting up makeshift outdoor dining areas in streets and parking lots, and they're not getting the volume. We're lucky because the minute they said go in outdoor dining, I think everybody in the Northwest area of Illinois, they think of the Broken Oar when you think of outdoor dining. So we had that advantage. We have a strong social media presence. So it's been tough all the way around, but there's a lot of small businesses that don't have those opportunities that it's been even tougher for. So
a lot didn't survive. I think it was a couple weeks ago on my Facebook, I posted a list of restaurants and bars that aren't opening back up. And that's sad. I've known some of these places for years. I've known some of the owners and managers who've worked hard to keep their place going year after year. And summer business, just like you, is huge for them. And for them to miss 2 months of it is just a no-go.
Oh yeah, it's catastrophic for us too. I mean, we take 2 steps forward in the summer, or 2 steps backwards in the winter, or 2 steps forward in the summer and a step backwards in the winter. So without that extra push, we're hoping, right now we're not going to have the volume we had. Our biggest hope right now is that we can continue this forward motion of the cash flow, a positive cash flow, and make enough to carry ourselves through winter. We know that this season's really already done for us financially. We just want to get through it, make enough money to get through to next summer, and we're looking forward to 2021. So
you don't have any big promotional things when you're fully open back up to try to ramp it up hard for the summer, or you just kind of like, let's just get to where we go and break even if we can? Is that kind of?
We're trying to do everything safely, but we can't plan anything. Nobody can plan anything. So yeah, if tomorrow they said, okay, no restrictions, go ahead. Absolutely. We'd add the big bands in, we'd get things rolling again and try and make up for lost time. But we know we've already lost April and May, and we're going to, ride steady and slow through June. But those are historically a couple months. Memorial weekend is our biggest weekend of the summer. The Sunday Memorial Day is the biggest day of the summer for us, and those are all gone by the wayside. So we're just trying not to expect too much, and we're trying to get as many people in. The nice thing now is everybody wants to dine outside. Everybody wants to get out of the house. So we're tapping on that business, and everybody's dying to see live music. Our bands, the bands on the stage this weekend, we all just got goosebumps. It's just happy to be back up on stage, to get live music going again. And, a lot of people say the Oar stage is their favorite place to play. So, it gave us all just a great feeling, that the bands on that stage were the cherry on top for the weekend for us being able to be back open again.
Yeah, that's very cool. Who is your favorite, like, Chicagoland bands?
Oh,
Can you,
that
you
you
or
know
your
I can't answer that.
I'm gonna make you hit a few darts here.
I
Come on,
can't answer that because I like so many of the different bands that play for different reasons. You know, there's people that become friends, and so you have a great time when they play because you know the people there. There's people that play, and from a quality standpoint, you really appreciate what they do. You know, so you know, I love all the bands that play for us, honestly. And you know, I do the band booking. So I'm booking like 100, 150 bands in the summer. I do a lot of the acoustic ones with a little assistance through the summer. And so, you know, we really are fortunate to have a lot of talented people at the bar. So for me to pick out a couple out of that volume of bands isn't fair to me or to them. So
I was trying to get you.
Nice try though.
I'm here to dig dirt. I mean, that's wonderful. So I will say, you know, you're doing the booking. So, how do you, or I should say it a different way. What attracts you to certain bands, especially when you're going to pick a new one? Because this show is listened to by not just fans and stuff, but maybe musicians and people who are just starting. Maybe they have a good concept for like a cover band. Do you guys want original music? Like, what are you specifically looking for at the Oar when you're booking these things so that you can, you know, what gravitates you towards any one particular thing or to make that choice?
It varies. Sometimes I'm looking for a special niche if I'm looking for a you know, a rockabilly band or something like that. So it can depend on that. And I look at a lot of different factors. So we invite back all of the bands that were with us the year before that were successful and that we had a great relationship. It has to work for both of us,
Sure.
both the bands on the stage and the people that are watching it as well. So we'll bring back those returning bands. I get those bands booked first. And the ones that are more difficult, that have a tougher schedule, we'll get them booked first. Then we start infilling. Once all of the dust settles, and you always get that occasional band breakup once in a while. So there's bands you want to have back and they're no longer together anymore. So we'll invite them back. And then, you know, I might have a small handful. And I do, you know, I wish I could respond to everybody. I get just inundated with requests. So I try and look at who's out there. And then I look at, you know, where they're from. Are they local? What kind of following do they have? You know,
when you say following, back up for a second. I'm gonna dissect this because I think some of the things you're saying are really important, and I want to drive some points home because I talk about this a lot. I mentor some people. I help manage some other bands and things like that, and I'm always kind of talking them through putting together press kits and things and how they establish things that you're looking for. So this is very important to me anyway. And I'm sure to some of the people listening, when you say, so I want to back up to the following, because some people think following is, you know, the 10 people that is your friends and family that will come see you. And some people think following is just how many, you know, Facebook followers do you have? Some people think how many Instagram likes do I get on a post? What, when you're looking at someone's following from a venue standpoint and from a talent buyer standpoint is basically what you are. How do you perceive following to be? What are the key elements when you say I'm looking for a following? How do you get there?
It's probably 10 different factors. So, you know, we're all in this together. I don't hold a band responsible to bring customers in.
Sure.
And, you know, by any means, I'm market. People who know me know that I do an extensive amount of marketing and we invest a lot of money into marketing, but it's a two-way street. The bands have to help too.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to help get the word out. So, you know, a smaller band that perhaps doesn't have a website, you know, there's no chance of them bringing people in. And I don't think they're established enough, because if you don't have a website, how are people finding out where your bookings are? So we want well-established bands. And I am all for people starting new bands, you know, getting going and everything. But, you know, we have expectations by our customers when they come in, and we really can't gamble too much on the bands coming in unless they're, you know, artists that we're familiar with from other bands that may form new bands. So
you also have a limited schedule. I mean, correct. I say it to a lot of summertime places that everyone wants in those right. 3 or 4 months that you have, and that's limited space for everybody. And right. you have to make very careful decisions, more so than a venue who has, you know, 52 weekends of the year to book acts, you have, a quarter of that.
Absolutely.
And you have to make good use of those things. So the one thing that you did say was like the web or online presence. And that if you're trying to establish yourself as a band, one thing that you definitely need to have is some sort of online and social media web presence of at least bare minimum of your schedule.
Absolutely.
Of like where you played and where you will be playing. So if venues are looking at you, it needs to look like you're working, and you're easy to find.
Right. And we get people in from name recognition. If they recognize the name of the band, oh, they were great. At the same time, when we give smaller bands opportunity to start there, we've got, again, upper level dining, lower level dining. We're on 7 acres. So there's people there that are just dining. So we want to make sure that music is not offensive and that is of great quality. Or, I've seen the place clear out real quick before. So, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. I never expect bands to have to produce our customers. We produce our customers, but they assist us with bringing in their following as well.
I think that's an important part of what you're saying too. I've always said this is that, musicians and venues always need to work together. And we're back.
All right.
Technical problem. I don't know
Well,
what
I'm technologically challenged, so I'm glad it wasn't me.
I apologize for that. But actually, what I was saying is, there's an important aspect of when a band is marketing themselves well and the venue. Sometimes I book for my bands as well, and you look at playing a place and there's like, how many people are you going to bring? And I'm like, well, how many people normally come to this bar also? Like,
right.
If it's like you bring who comes to that bar because the bar is good, it serves good food, it has good service, the people enjoy the atmosphere, the bar does its job, and then the band does its job of marketing itself and bringing the people who like that kind of music. Not enough bands, I think, pay for their advertising and social media and things like that to promote their gig or their first gig somewhere or whatever. We get a lot of traction sometimes because I promote that this is our debut gig here. Please come. It's like it's
Right.
to amplify the experience, and also to get, we target people who like, Taylor Swift or whatever, the people, stuff that's in our set list that people like, that we can sort of bank on the marketing from the artist itself. Which kind of segues me to, do you guys ever do like specific tribute acts, or is it always sort of variety bands? Is there kind of a formula that you think works best for your environment?
We shake it up. We used to do like a Thunder warm up weekend, the weekend before Country Thunder.
Yeah.
But then you have a whole weekend that's all country music, and it really what works best for us is variety. We could have Led Zeppelin band on a Saturday night and a country band on a Sunday, and it gives everybody, instead of us isolating only country music or for a whole weekend, it gives everybody, oh, let's go on Friday because I like that band versus Sunday. So we do some tribute bands, we do a lot of cover bands, which some people argue with, but they're songs that people can recognize. And we've got a huge demographic. It's not just people coming to listen to that band, and that's what people have to understand. We've got golfers and motorcycle enthusiasts and families. And so, it's people may come to dine and then they fall in love with a band that's there because it was great music and unexpected for them. So, we have to do a little bit of everything. So we really mix it up. You'll see some really diverse bands that play at the Oar. So.
That's cool. I think that's good. You see a lot of festivals move towards that mentality too, of mixing it up. And a lot of even the town festivals and stuff. Last year, my John Mayer tribute, Gravity, opened up for the Cadillac 3, which is a country act. So those two things, people are like, that doesn't go together. But honestly, that was a good call from them because it was two totally different audiences that even came in the same day. Right. And I think what you're saying is wildly true. I don't think enough venues switch things up enough. Sometimes they try to stay categorically in the same lane all the time, and they're missing an audience who might like Taylor Swift, or an audience who might like Led Zeppelin, or an audience who might like, 80s, 16 Candles or whatever. There's a lot of music. And do you feel, I moved from Austin to Chicagoland, and it's got to feel kind of interesting as a venue to have all of this like great themed music at your fingertips in Chicagoland. It exists here like nowhere else.
Right. Yeah. No, we're very fortunate. There are so many talented bands out there. Some of the bands, one of the bands, the Downpour AC/DC band, started playing at the Broken Oar. I think the one day he came up and said it was like 18 years ago that they, really got established from playing there. And so those kind of stories really are cool. And the amount of talent, that's where it goes to us just having like maybe a small handful of 5 openings for new bands every year, because there's so much talent in the area. We're thrilled at the pool of talent that's out there, and we're thrilled that we have a venue that gives them the opportunity to play, because I think those are becoming less and less, and you really don't want that talent to fall by the wayside, or those small bands to give up. You want them to have the opportunity to play out there.
Yeah, for all my out-of-town friends who are driving through Illinois and even, outside of Chicago and the suburbs, it's really, music exists here like none other in a very interesting way. And a ton of places like yours who love to host these kinds of things. And so even in the summertime, that's the best time around here to be out, because it's never too awfully hot. I mean, they've got some days, but the summers are really nice. And especially these places who embrace that outdoor music atmosphere, and that's what you were saying before, is you pick music not just to have like a performance necessarily. You're creating atmosphere for an entire place, and that is just as important to you as just having a bunch of party people in front of a stage somewhere. And I think that's important for bands to recognize too, like understanding what your band might bring to an environment Because it's not going to help you a bunch, with families to have, thrashing heavy metal music at your place. So if you're that kind of band, take a look at the venue that you're sending your press kit to, and make sure that it aligns with the style of music that you have. Would you say that's important?
Absolutely. We don't want to offend anybody. I think most of the bands that we have, some of them are a little heavier, so maybe we put them at night. So by the time they start playing, most of the dinner traffic has died down. So we take a look at all that. But yeah, I think really, I hope that the bands, when they know that they're playing at the Broken Oar, are really looking at their set list for the night and seeing what's a good fit. A lot of people specifically like seeing their bands at the Broken Oar, or they have their favorite band that plays at the Broken Oar. And I think a lot of that's because those bands adapt to the venue and adapt to the Broken Oar. We are extraordinary. We are not like any other location because we're on the river. I call it the best people watching place out there. You've got boaters pulling up. So you've got people in bathing suits. You've got golfers coming in. We get some little league teams that come for lunch sometimes. And then you've got people just coming for the music. So it's such a melting pot of people that, it's just, I think, the best people watching place out there on a Sunday afternoon and mid-afternoon. It's just great.
Do you notice trends from year to year of certain styles of bands increasing or decreasing, or what becomes more popular? Like, like you said, country thunder. Have you noticed a surge in country and maybe a retraction of it now? Is there anything that seems to be moving ahead now that you see, or, have you noticed a trend at all?
I haven't. And, I'm probably a little out of touch. I kind of just watch what works for us and what's successful. Yes, I think, the country thunder had its day, and that seemed to have kind of settled down a little bit. But there's a huge following for country music. It's just, transitions, and it transitions into different ways. So, I think, we're on our third generation of customer coming. So for us, if we follow that classic line of, not just classic rock or classic country, but if we follow a steady line and then just waver up and down below that, I have a Motown band that plays for us. And, we have, some old school country bands that play for us. So, we do a little bit of everything so that everybody can pick and choose what really excites them. And that gives them a reason to come out on specific days. And then some people are just looking for something to do. So they come out and they know there's always going to be good music there. So I don't see too much trending. We try and keep an even keel and keep it pretty steady, and then just waver from there.
Do you target any special events throughout the summer? Like you said, Memorial Day Sunday is big for you. Is that something where you maybe do like a mini festival where you have bands all day or things going on? Have you done that, or do you plan a lot of those things?
We'll have on holiday weekends like Memorial Weekend, because of the added Monday. Our village has allowed us to have bands on Sunday night, and then we'll add a band on Monday. So just by nature of it being a holiday weekend that's longer, we'll have 5 bands instead of having the 4, or we'll have 6 bands instead of 4 bands, because we've got that extra day added on. As far as having any special events that we target during the course of the summer, we can't. We do everything we can just to wake up every day and get through that day, because the volume of traffic is so big. So people worry about us having special events and everything. We just can't. We service a huge volume of customers on a weekly basis. So all we can really do is get through day to day, and having those bands on Friday and Saturday nights and Saturday days and Sunday days is enough for us. During the week, we always do different events like car shows and things like that. So we've got our hands full, and just stocking food and beverages is in and of itself enough. So we don't do anything above and beyond the norm, because we need the parking and we need to try and service what we've already put in place.
Yeah. Summer is your event. It's the summer.
Basically, pretty much. Yeah.
You seem very passionate and into the musical aspect of what you're doing there. Have you ever, before becoming involved with the Oar, and being married into it, I guess now, was music a thing for you? Did you work with other venues? Did you ever manage other restaurants? Or were you involved in music in any way?
Oh no, actually my background was in real estate and construction. I was a general contractor. So bands were
No.
not, but I've whooped and hollered all my life. So I've been to a lot of bars in my day and seen live music there. I had friends from high school like Kevin Purcell and the Night Burners. So I started seeing them at Dirty Nelly's and going to different bars where they had music, and that's it. So really, once I jumped in, I just jumped in to help my boyfriend at the time for a couple months till he found a new manager. And I soon realized that for our future, I was going to have to really fix the place. So I have spent 11 years fixing it, and I had to learn the business from the other side of the bar. I had to learn, the computer systems, how the bar business worked, how the restaurant business worked. And the music was just something that came along with it because they used to have bands. So, when we first started, we'd just have a few select bands in the summer, and we'd have to look at the weather forecast every day. Is it going to rain? Should we call the band? Do we let it go? What's going to happen? And then we added the tent and really grew into this music venue that's really recognized, all over the country. I'll have a Broken Oar shirt on somewhere, or I was walking down the bleacher seats at Wrigley Field, and I had a Broken Oar hoodie on, and all of a sudden the whole bleacher seats started chanting Broken Oar. So things like that just bring tears to me. So it's nice to be known as that music venue because we've really done a lot of work to build it over the years.
Have you looked at what other music venues or places similar to yours have done over the years to get some direction, if you will, or you're just figuring it out as you go?
Honestly, I don't have time. So, I don't really check on other places. I don't look and see what they're doing because I just don't have time. So I know what works for us. Even with our special events, like once in a while we'll do a craft beer festival with dogs for a fundraiser, things like that. I do what works for us. Sometimes when we start something new, it takes us 2 or 3 years to really get it dialed in. Yeah. And the bands have been the same thing. We've evolved over the years. We've figured out what works for us. We figured out what times work for us, what bands have been successful. And we want bands that want to be there. I don't want somebody there that's just there to make a buck. I always say it's a two-way street. And, I've had maybe 1 or 2 over the years that really weren't that pleasant to deal with. And I just don't invite them back because life's too short. And I want everybody to have fun. Yeah. Fun factor is huge for me. If the bands are having fun, the customers are having fun. If the customers are having fun, the bands are having fun. And there's nothing better than a Sunday afternoon when I'm running to run change to a bar or something, and I look around and the whole place, every customer is dancing and singing and at the top of their lungs. There's nothing better than like that, and that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, that's got to feel awesome that you're creating that atmosphere for people, and you're bringing all of this stuff together. People who want to enjoy, and music is such a useful tool in that way. And it really, I was talking to Megan from Wedding Band on here just a couple weeks ago, and it's like we were talking about how music really helps people, and even given what has been going on these last couple months and how crazy it's been, I see people out enjoying live music. I went out Friday night myself to a place, the Two Brothers here, and actually in Aurora, to listen to a guy play acoustic, just because I love supporting it too, and it was nice to see everyone out there just like. Music was the healer, and I think that's really important for people to realize that, venues like you and people like you who run these places, you feel the same way, like you're just as invested in it as an atmospheric thing to elevate the experience of your place.
Absolutely. I think now more than ever, we need music. I don't think there's a greater time in the last 11 years I've been there that music wasn't the most welcoming thing when we opened back up. And we had to jump through some hoops last week, but we had a great acoustic set with Gerald and Camille on Friday. We had great bands over the weekend, and it just, gave everybody a resurrection of their spirits and hope that we could continue on, because so many music venues are going to be the last ones to open that don't have outdoor dining. So we were thrilled to be able to start to provide the opportunity for the bands to play again.
So who do you got coming up this weekend?
I'm working on that now. Yeah, so we had a couple big bands, and we want to make sure everybody's safe. So I actually yesterday was recovery day. It was a brutal. Last week we had to hire and train 50 staff members in 3 days.
Wow.
And then we had to get through the weekend. And I can honestly say it was probably the toughest week, and the toughest weekend. Everybody has lost their minds from being on lockdown. Like, honestly, we had more issues and stuff just trying to get through the weekend and everything. So I am picking the pieces back up. We're doing more training sessions. We've got to get another 50 people up and running this week. And then I'm going to be revisiting the band schedule. So we're really releasing it one weekend at a time. And I want to talk to the bands. You know, some of these bands have concerns over their safety as well, or they have compromised an elderly mom at home, things like that. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable playing. And if they're not, we'll just find a substitute band. So normally I release our entire band schedule. I put postcards on everybody's cars when they come in, so you can see who's playing the whole summer. Right now, we're really proceeding cautiously, optimistically, proceeding by just really looking at each band that's going to be playing each weekend and making sure it's right, so that we don't overload the venue. We don't put anybody at risk, and that the bands are comfortable when they are ready to come out and start playing. And if we have to make changes, we do. So this weekend, I don't know. I really don't even know. I should have that answer, right? But I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, no one has a lot of answers these days.
I know. We've been winging it.
I'm supposed to be playing on Saturday in Naperville, and I've texted him every day. He's like, "Can you hold on? I'm not sure." Like, so, and I'm, I think I've talked to a lot of musicians on this side of the coin, and we all have to work with the hand that we're dealt, and even as musicians, it's like, again, it's working with people like yourself and having that relationship, especially if you've had a standing relationship with a venue, is, you got to take it easy on them. They got to take it easy on you right now. And if we can all work together and kind of turn things around quickly. I mean, right when they announced the patio thing, just like you, I was getting calls left and right about, are you available? Do you have anybody? Can you send an acoustic? And I was helping book some other places. Sure. And I end up playing, and then I end up booking the following weekend myself, because it's just a scramble. And so I'm just encouraging my musician friends is be patient with the venues that you normally play, or that, because they're still trying to figure it out too. And be patient, work together, start slow and figure it out, give them a break if you can, and work together. I think that's huge in this time, and that will help bring live music back a lot smoother and easier, and for the venues and the musicians themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. We had bands play. Only one of the bands that played last weekend was one that had been previously scheduled, and the rest of them dropped everything they were doing to jump in and play. So we had Gerald and Camille, rumor has it, and Sinful jumped in. And, they're not only bands that play at the Broken Oar, but they've become lifelong friends too. So they jumped in right away. We're going to start exploring all the rest of them. And yeah, we all have to work with it together. The last thing we want to do is, we were given such a great opportunity to start the live music on the very first day that we open back up. The last thing I want to do is jeopardize it. We don't want to overload. I'm trying not to advertise too far in advance, because we don't want that volume to build up, and we don't want people to travel to go to these venues and then not be able to get in because there's too many people there as well. So we're just trying to keep it steady.
This has got to be the first time in history bar owners are like, I don't want to travel to come out to see the band. This is the craziest time I've ever lived in music, especially. I was talking to one of my friends who's a bass player. He's played with like Queen Latifah and for Prince Studios, and he was on here a couple weeks ago, and he, we can never remember. He's older than me by a good amount, but he's never remembered a time where like the music stopped around the world. Like it literally, a lot of times people play here, and people like him, they'll play in bands that are playing overseas and stuff. And for him to go, oh, well, it's not busy here, I'll just figure out a gig somewhere else. That's not happening, and that's been really hard for the music community
Yeah, that's just absolutely crazy. I called March 17th the day the music died because that was when we were shut down initially. So, yeah, you don't think about how far reaching it is. You know, as a bar owner, we're consumed with just trying to get through one day at a time and figure out how to do to-goes and deliveries and things like that. So you don't think far beyond that. You know, my initial concern was just getting music back up and going because a lot of these bands that were, you know, that are loyal to us and we're loyal to them, you know, some of them, it's their only source of income. So, you know, there's those that do it on the side of their regular day job, but those ones that don't have any other source of income are the ones that are really hurting right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of my friends in this industry, in this town, it's such a healthy, wealthy music market that it's a lot of people's business. It's their only business, and that this all has been crushing to them. But a lot of them have found, again, almost like bars fixing their places up and cleaning and whatever. A lot of bands have found creative ways by doing quarantine videos, by marketing themselves in live streams and things like that to stay relevant. And those bands are the first ones that are sort of popping back. And I think that was important. And it sort of weeded out people who are kind of just doing music as a hobby and maybe kind of on the side more or less than people who are really invested in it, because it certainly, you know, it changed what you had to focus on in a moment.
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, I think it, you know, not only in music, but if you look at overall, I think it's gotten everybody to stop and just reevaluate their whether it's their home life or their music career or whatever. So I think that really strikes a chord that everybody has really taken a big step back, and you know, it's such an odd situation and extreme that it's gotten everybody to think twice about, you know, how they proceed forward with this starting to open back up again.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's silver linings to that. A lot of my musician friends are also exploring other things, that other styles of music that they're interested in. I've always wanted to do this podcast, never had time to get it off the ground until this happened. So for me, there's a silver lining, and there's a way to give people like yourself a voice, people to give musicians who are kind of on the way up, and you know, singers in cover bands or whatever, who really, like, you know, they don't have a voice in certain areas, and that's kind of this podcast design. And I was excited about it, and I think a lot of people are just sitting home like, this sucks. You know, it's like they're not really getting anything done. And the people who are like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, make lemons out of the lemonade, you know, or I'm gonna make lemonade out of the lemons, I guess, or whatever way you're gonna do it. Some people are making beef stew with the lemons. I don't know what they're doing, but you know, there's a lot to be said, and so, you know, I want to wrap this up by thanking you for being such a staunch supporter of the music industry, the cover band scene, bands that are traveling through. We need you. I mean, we need places like you. Without places to play, we're just playing in our basements, so or our garages, or I don't have a basement, I have a garage, but you know, people like you who are so important, and especially that you know, people like you who've grown to love having music be such a part of your business and your everyday. So, you know, I personally want to thank you, and thank you for being on the show to talk to us about exactly, you know, what it is you're looking for, how you do what you do. So, if you have any closing, you know, promotions or anything you want to set up for the Broken Oar, or...
It's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me on. You know, I will just close it with saying that we wouldn't be the Broken Oar. We wouldn't be who we are today if it wasn't for live music and all the bands that support us. So, you know, I keep referring back to that two-way street, but you know, we're Broken Oar. We're known as a music venue, but we are who we are because of the vast amount of talent in Chicago and the bands that have played for us and supported us. So I thank all of them and feel fortunate that we have them pass through our gates. So.
Well, thank you so much, Bonnie, and give my best to your husband as well, and all of the crew at the Broken Oar from here at the Band Buzz, and all of the you know, especially the Chicagoland music community really appreciates you. You know, I know Scott Lewis was commenting earlier from the Hillbilly. Yeah, and you know, other people who are watching who are obviously big fans of playing at your venue, and love to see you guys year after year. I can't wait to get my ass back up there and enjoy some music and drinks as well. So I will see you then. Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
I'll see you. Well, that was Bonnie Misk from the Broken Oar. She's so cool, very, very great, very gracious, such a supporter of live music. I can't thank them enough. And if you have a chance to get out towards Barrington or you're boating on the Fox River in that area, stop into the Broken Oar, check them out. They have such a great spread, such a cool atmosphere as we talked about, and I just love what they're doing out there. Once again, this show is brought to you by Legends of Tomorrow Entertainment. If you have a band, a podcast, media content you're trying to get out there, hit them up at legendsoftomorrowent.com or info@legendsoftomorrowent.com. Shoot them an email and they will hook you up. Old Wise Clothing Company. My buddy Eric Perryman is the CEO of Old Wise, and he put together a stellar deal. oldwiseclothing.com. Enter the code BANDBUZZ for 15% off your entire order. That's BANDBUZZ, BANDBUZZ, to get 15% off. That is awesome. Also, my girl, Andrea, The Healthy Hustle with Andrea, or email her at andreagraves24@gmail.com if you are interested in fantastic Arbonne products. I got the protein shake, the strawberry protein shake. It's awesome. I got the detox tea after I've drank too much all weekend. It is great stuff. Hit up my girl, Beth, at Beth's Healthy Living Inside and Out, or follow her on Instagram at tranquil.solutions. Don't forget the dot, tranquil.solutions. Beth is my massage therapist. She's got great wellness tips. She also represents great products from Arbonne and other places. Hit her up. She's amazing. Tell her the Band Buzz sent you. I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the weather. It's finally summertime. Be careful out there. Be safe. I know a lot of things are going on right now, and it's a tough time. But, keep keeping on. Keep clinging to the music. Anyway, have a great week, y'all.